Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome on in to our webinar. I'm going to give it a little bit longer, another minute or so. I know it always takes a second for people to get settled and in, but thank you all for being here. So before I pass off to Alexia Santiago for our webinar today, I am going to give a little bit of brief background on what you can expect throughout this session. Number one, this is for your Workforce Wednesday webinars. They are always recorded and you have closed captioning available. If you would like to access the closed captioning, go to the bottom of your Zoom bar and there'll be a CC, and that way you can utilize that tool. In addition, if you would like to access our video or the slideshow from today's presentation, you can go on to the WIOA professional website and you will see that there in the next few days or so. In addition, you can chat. However, if you are looking to unmute or turn on your video, you're not going to be able to do that on our webinar series. And so questions or comments can go in that chat or in the Q&A, and we'll be monitoring that as throughout our session. And if we don't get to you throughout, we'll get to you at the end, so don't worry about that. Outside of that, we will start with our standard polls that we have today. It's just going to be 2 quick questions. We would love to hear about our audience and how we can help really personalize this session. So question 1, which partner do you represent? A lot of Title I and Title II. And question 2, where is your local area? Still waiting on a few responses. I'll give you guys some time. Thank you again for answering our 2 polls. Alrighty. We're going to end that poll and I will share it on your guys' screen so you can see these results as well. So for number 1, we have a lot of Title I and Title II and some spread out in other stakeholders or areas. And Central Illinois is the top winner with Northern and Southern. So thank you guys all for being here today. With that being said, I am going to pass it off to the wonderful Alexia Santiago as they talk about the Career Development Experience Toolkit overview.
Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here with you today. My name is Alexia Santiago. I'm the Innovation Manager at Education Systems Center out of Northern Illinois University. And today we are going to walk through our Career Development Experience Toolkit, be able to share with you all some resources that you can take. And from that poll, I think there are a lot of things that can be beneficial to everyone that is attending in some way. So I'm really happy to get into this presentation with you all. So a little bit about Ed Systems. We are a policy and implementation center based out of Northern Illinois University. As I mentioned, we really have these 3 pillars of work that drive the mission of creating strong transitions and pathways for students after their high school experience. So really focusing on that policy, practice, and impact. Today, I'm going to be focusing on the practice piece. We're going to talk about improving that learner experience through the use of the toolkit. And you can see here on our screen too, just the different areas of practice that we support. Again, for today, we're going to focus mostly on that career-connected learning and work-based learning piece. So that is a little bit about what we do. To kind of center us to center us a little bit in the resources today, I wanted to share about the IWIN Illinois Work-Based Learning Innovation Network. This is a This is run by EdSystems, and it is just a hub for folks to come together to be able to conversate about different updates across the state regarding work-based learning. It's a way to build a community and understand what best practices are out there. So the Career Development Experience Toolkit does live on this website, as well as a ton of other resources. So I will definitely be able to share a lot today, but there's even more that live on the iWin page. So you'll be able to have all these links and everything at the end of the session. But this is a way to stay connected through our newsletter, as well as our through the hub, and be updated on any webinars or any other resources that are being lifted up with across the state. So for our time today, we're going to talk about what is a CDE a little bit. We're going to get into where the CDE kind of definition comes from. We're going to explore the toolkit. So I'm going to be doing a lot of demoing for you all. So stay with me there. And then we're going to talk about the best strategies for implementing the toolkit. So there are a lot of pages that can come from, or that you'll see in any of the documents. Some of them can get lengthy, but I'm going to give you some tips on how to make sure that you are being strategic in the way that you're using it, and managing it in a way that's not so overwhelming for you and your teams. And then we're going to actually talk about some community-based models and proven practices that we've seen from utilizing some of these things. And then we're going to talk about what next steps you all can take. And I have a few other resources that I'll wrap up with just to highlight some other things for your work-based learning kind of experiences. So I believe I will be brought to my first kind of poll, just trying to get a pulse check from you all on if you have any experience with the career development toolkit, and understanding where you all may have experienced this. Mikhail, I don't know if it's this one or if it's later to release it.
Yes, I will release that now.
Okay, great.
Apologies.
No, all good. So so just wanting to understand if anyone out there is familiar with the CDE toolkit. Is it on a scale of 1 being completely new to you, or 5, I'm an expert and I, could talk about this in my sleep? Where are we falling on that scale?
We've got a lot of it's being completely new to me so far.
Okay.
Waiting on a couple more to answer. So again, if you can go in, do that poll, and you're saying, how familiar are you with the CDE toolkit? Scale 1 to 5. All right. Looks like everyone is completely new to this, which is exciting. We'll end that poll and I'll let you keep on going.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's super helpful. So to start off, our career development experiences are statutorily defined through our PWR Act, or our Post-Secondary and Workforce Readiness Act. You can find this information again through the links. You can go onto their website. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but I do want to just emphasize that this is out of state statutes. It is defined in our Illinois Career Pathways Dictionary, which I'll bring up in a moment here. That is part of our work-based learning continuum. So these career development experiences are a required part of students' college and career pathway endorsement framework. So in order to receive a endorsement on a student's high school diploma, they do have to have that individualized plan with that professional learning piece, career-focused instruction, and then academic readiness. So engaging in a CDE or a college career development experience is part of what will earn that endorsement. It's also part of the Every Student Succeeds Act, and is a college and career readiness indicator. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time here on the work-based learning continuum. So you'll see that CDE experience comes a little bit after halfway. So you'll see that with less intensity, you'll kind of see on the left-hand side for students all the way up to an apprenticeship, which has the most kind of rigor involved in the experience. So again, you can find more information on that Illinois Career Pathway Dictionary. But the idea is that in those career awareness, career exploration pieces, students are, they're being exposed to what kind of industries are out there. Maybe they've taken an interest survey or they've done a job shadow. They've, done some kind of exploration in some way and have some exposure. And then getting into that team-based challenge, this is where it's a little bit more structured. They are required to be in a team with other students and with presence of an industry mentor in order to problem solve a real world issue happening in that industry. So the idea, right, is that like through moving through this continuum, by the time they get to a career development experience, they should know a little bit about the industry and be looking for deepening their understanding through that CDE. And before moving on to potentially an apprenticeship or a pre-apprenticeship that might require more commitment from them at that time. So to bring up the actual definition and to show a little bit about what our Pathways Dictionary looks like, want to have this up on the screen for you all. I'm going to call out a couple of things here to note in this experience. First is that this can be for credit for school, and this can also be compensated for students, this experience. So it needs to be one of those. It also can be both. So that's something to consider. You want to make sure that this is an opportunity that students are experiencing regular feedback, and that a note here is that there is a 60-hour requirement. And later in the presentation, I'll give some examples of how communities are managing getting to those 60 hours. But they can be through a single experience. They can be split up. But they cannot be less than a 20-hour experience to be considered a career development experience for students. We want to make sure that this is an authentic environment for students. So if they are participating in a CDE and there are certain safety regulations that the staff adhere to, we want to make sure that students are also engaging in whatever those safety procedures are. So just making sure that whatever kind of role they're leading is reflective of those who are actually in those staff positions. And then two additional notes on the bottom there. One is that the school, if a school district is creating a CDE in-house, that's totally acceptable and encouraged, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But we want to make sure that the role of the industry mentor and supervisor is clearly defined and is different than that of a classroom teacher or maybe a coach or some other relationship that they might hold in their regular school day, but that there's a clear understanding in this CDE experience, Mr. Whoever is my industry, is my supervisor or my industry mentor. And then the last piece is just about remote opportunities. So these are also able to be considered for a CDE and something that students can participate in, especially after COVID and the kind of switch to everything being virtual. We're seeing more and more that there are a lot of opportunities for interviewing online or hybrid work models. And so this kind of opportunity for students does exist and could be pretty representative of the field that they might be interested in going into. Okay, so I am going to transition us into a little bit more about exploring the toolkit. So again, we're going to have a lot of templates and resources, and we'll get into how best to utilize all of these different examples. So a little bit about the purpose and the structure, how this toolkit came to be. So this was designed for a wide range of users. This was something that came from, was created in 2019 alongside that Pathways Dictionary. So thinking about how we could best give folks a step-by-step kind of guide for how they can create some of these experiences. So the idea is not that, or the idea is that it can be used by more than just a school district, but that workforce partners and community partners, that there are lots of audiences that can benefit from this toolkit. So it is organized by the stages of the CDE implementation. So, you know, it'll have opportunities to explore templates from the very beginning planning stages, even just getting your mind, you know, thinking about what kind of opportunity you might want to share, into the execution, how will it look like day to day, and that evaluation piece. So the toolkit really does a great job of giving you everything that you would need from start to finish to be able to create this experience. So you'll see a lot of customizable templates and best practices and resources. For today, I'm just going to use the PDF versions just so I don't have to download a bunch of documents for you all to watch me kind of fumble around there. But there are options for, again, both the PDF version or a Word document. So I am just going to click into our toolkit here. So you can see that this is really just a intro page, but it talks about everything that I just shared with you all, where it came from, how it came to be. Everything in here is clickable and will take you to wherever you might want to go next. So bringing us back to my slide deck here, we these three things are something that appeared in that last tab, but I want to talk a little bit more about what each of these accompanying resources are. So first, we have the Experience Toolkit just for resources. So this is a great place to go if you already know and have an idea of exactly what you're looking for. So maybe it's a template for an About Me sheet for a student, or maybe it's a template for a schedule that you're looking to create. This is a great place to just click in and be able to find what those things might be. So all of these resources do have a table of contents, and you can do a quick, you know, search if you're a little savvy and can look up certain words. But they have they are all also organized by, again, how are we getting started? I'll talk you through a little bit about the different components that are broken down into outreach, onboarding, the during process, so what's happening throughout, and then wrapping up. But this is a great place to go. Again, if you already know what you're looking for and you're wanting to fill out a planning timeline, this doesn't have any of the extra kind of stuff. This is all just the resources without too much explanation. So that is if you're really ready to dig in and get started. This piece in the middle here, our companion piece, is was created in partnership with DCEO, or Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. And this really explores the kind of youth who are not in that high school setting. So for any of you who were supporting adult learners, this is a great place to kind of start. There is a lot of opportunity to explore equity pieces, components of work-based learning opportunities, and also has a lot of things to consider beyond just the work-based learning piece of a CDE, but also how to support different learners in that with some of these resources, but those that are not typical to that of a high school student. And then this last piece here is our Career Development Experience Toolkit with our facilitation guide component. So I'm not going to click into that, but it is really just a checklist, again, in those buckets of onboarding and during the process, and is just a really great way to assess if you are hitting those things that are in that component, or if there's areas that maybe you could lean into and refer back to in that general toolkit to be able to pull some of those resources to enhance that experience. So this is just a screenshot here. Wanted to show that, again, the way that these are broken down, you can click on that corner section there, and you can actually download all of those sections at once. So I will show you this here. Sorry, one moment. Go back here. So if we scroll down from that main page, you'll see here, maybe I want to think about host outreach resources, and I want to know everything that's in this section here. So I want to know about engagement, how to form those partnerships, and then I also want those assessment pieces. You can just click this link here, and it will have all of these in one PDF document for you. This does include a breakdown and explanations, and we'll give you more of that. But instead of clicking into all of the individual pieces, it's just a nice way to kind of download by section. So example of that there. And then you can see, again, if you are like, I don't need the whole thing, I just want a PDF or a Word document for this, for questions that maybe are frequently asked, you can go here and just click the PDF or the Word document that way as well. So we're going to get a little bit more into some specific resources that you'll find in the toolkit. So I'm thinking about this as from start to kind of while it's happening. So, common things that folks might be needing as they're building it out. So when we're thinking about outreach to hosts, and when I say host, that's really anyone who is providing that CDE experience. A lot of times it is that employer partner. This could be a community partner, or in the case of an embedded school situation, it could be someone at the school. So if we take a quick look here, this is a really great way to understand what are some opportunities students could take in a certain endorsement area. So, there's a lot of buzz around AI right now and using that as a tool. One thing that I will say about these documents is that they have been tested out in communities, and they have come from, folks who are doing these things every day and in the work. So these have been, kind of tried and true, tested. So for example, if you're thinking about arts and communication, there's examples of things that students could do if you're supporting a host, or if you are a host yourself that is looking for resources. You can think, maybe I'm not going to be in the office today, but I have this list that I can refer to and have my student or whoever I'm supporting come in and maybe manage our social weekly calendar, or create a year plan. So it just has a couple of different options that you can search for by industry area if you're thinking about how to make those experiences meaningful for whoever is participating in them. And then just wanted to also show this host profile. So this is really helpful if you are in that matching process. So maybe you're managing a few different experiences for a list of folks, and you want to know more about what the site might be able to offer. So you can download this host profile that really just asks questions like, what is the dress code? What is the office environment? Who might be the primary supervisor? So again, getting some of those questions answered ahead of time, and then to be able to understand what industry they're supporting, and what those who are participating in could expect. So maybe if you have someone who might need more guidance in this experience, you want to focus on what that question is about, the level of supervision that might be able to be provided. So this is just a great tool to kind of think before you pair someone to an experience. to think about, how these questions are being asked and collected for placement. So this one here too is about any kind of age requirements, safety things to consider. Again, that's, also considering for any equity concerns or making sure that students are engaging with the right fit for their CDE experience. So once you've got a host and you've reached out to them, they love you love the profile, you're able to get a really great matching situation. Now we're going to talk a little bit about onboarding. And this, I also want to note, this is something where if you have already held some of these experiences, that's great. And maybe this toolkit can be used to just like do an assessment on where you're at. But for anyone who is doing this for the first time, this is also a great way to just kind of think through and have some resources at your hand. So for onboarding, I'm going to just take a look at one of the first things, to consider is what are the expectations for the participant. So again, thinking about how you can structure the objectives. So at the end of this experience, what should they be able to kind of understand and know as they're leaving? What kind of essential skills are they learning? So I'll talk a little bit about this later, but you do what makes a quality CDE is also not just the technical pieces, but also the essential employability competencies that folks might be learning in this role. So a reminder of that is always great to consider. And then again, this is an editable Word document where, you would be kind of removing some of this text, but maybe keeping some of those things where you can put in attendance policies and procedures that you have, or the kind of payroll policies. If there are anything that you are missing that we've missed on this document, you can add that in as well, but really just a great kind of outline to get started with. And then here we have the guidebook for hosts. So again, just thinking about what things to consider when wanting to make the best CDE experience. So what makes a strong host partner? So just things to consider. What support might you need by the managing organization? Making sure that there is a clear timeline of events for these activities and grounding in your background, your mission, and your purpose. So again, just walking through, taking off a little bit of the pressure to create something from scratch. If there's something that you're looking to create, I really would advise, if this is something that is of interest to you, to taking a look at the toolkit first. So to save yourself maybe some hours and headache to try to figure out some language and a starting point. And then again, what does it kind of take to do that professional skills assessment? And then it even goes down into what you might need for the first day planning, and then any kind of, support for if there are improvement plans that might be needed, and a frequently asked questions section. And then for the during portion, so now you've onboarded, you are in the groove of the CDE experience. Something that really I wanted to highlight with you all is this check-in meeting structure and support document in these just check-ins. So broken down by the task, the skill, and then time for reflection, especially with our students, creating that opportunity to think about, is this something that I am really interested in pursuing, continuing? Is this something that I should be asking more questions or transitioning into maybe another pathway? I think there's another piece where sometimes it's hard for folks at the end of an experience when asked, what did you learn? For people to feel really confident in knowing what to say to that. And so these points of reflection and these check-ins and documenting that, sharing it back with them, can help give them something to reference back to, or to advocate for whatever it is that they might be doing next, or how they're kind of evolving in the role. These are just a really good kind of quick measure to make sure you're connecting with them, and also doing some kind of documenting on your end to make sure that mentor piece and that supervisor piece are being done thoughtfully. And then this last one here is all about the site visits for a host. So really just, again, some starting points for how you can organize and plan for site visit. If you're looking to kind of understand what has that participant, so again, that student or whoever might be participating in that CDE experience, you can ask questions to the host and both to the participant to understand how the experience has been going for them. I also really love this section down here that talks about these essential employability competencies and that they can do kind of an assessment around, is it developing? Have they met this? And are they exceeding? They're doing really great in these competencies. And again, those are something that along with those technical skills, we want to understand, our students, able to communicate? Are they improving in their problem solving skills? And how's their teamwork? So some of those essential employability things are also super important to highlight. So to talk a little bit about the strategies for implementation, as I mentioned, and as you saw from my demo, some of these can be pretty lengthy, and you might be feeling like, I'm not sure where to even start with a document like this. But a way to kind of navigate this is to kind of determine for yourself, or maybe you have a team that you can work with, to say, where are the areas of need for this throughout this process, and focus on where that start can be. So again, I referenced to that facilitation guide. But even if you, and that has a checklist that you can go through to understand, maybe we're missing more things out of the onboarding section than the evaluation section. But if you also just want to look through that table of contents and just go by the section, you might be able to just say this is where we should focus and start for our next kind of onboarding process, or our next cohort who's participating in this. Again, you want to make sure that you are adapting any of the resources to fit your context. So, you might have different needs depending on your staff capacity, depending on demographics or geographic location, what accessibility you have to some of these things. So it is for you all to be able to make work for you. And then also sharing this toolkit with your partners. So if this is something that you find to be helpful to you, feel free to share with others, and especially those that are on the other side of these opportunities and that you're collaborating with in these experiences. And that kind of leads into this last point here, that is speaking to offering that professional development with your teams. And really that just means, don't just like email it out and expect everyone to know how to use it or where to go to look for it. But similar to what I've done with you all today, be able to walk through specific examples or to share how you might have used it in the past. Okay, so I am going to, I did have another poll, but I don't think we'll need to run it, Mikhail. So I'm going to actually just keep going here. So we're going to talk about some community-based models and best practices. So when we're thinking about designing and delivering, there are some really great communities out there who have been able to use some of these approaches, and wanted to make sure that that's highlighted for you today. So we're going to start with Northern Kane County first and some of their health science internships. So I'm also going to just click in here. This is, again, from our Illinois Work-Based Learning Innovation Network. This is where it's housed. So when I talked earlier about resources that you can find there, here's an example that just breaks down what this looks like for Northern King County. So to highlight here, they have a huge kind of effort around sustaining partnerships, being really thoughtful about how they're managing those, and really thinking about how best to communicate with them. So this example here of these health sciences internships is a great way to see how folks are splitting up that 60-hour requirement. So they have a rotational internship that places 6 to 10 students at 2 different sites for 30 hours each. And then they also have a pharmacy tech internship that includes 40 hours of mentor-led training and then 20 hours of that direct experience. So wanted to highlight that there are a few different, approaches, and to work with your partners to think about what might be the best scheduling wise to get to that 60-hour requirement. And then just wanting to call out again that they have really put a lot of effort into employer-facing resources and figuring out how to, improve communication. And so there's an internship 101 presentation that you can click into. There are sample job descriptions. So if you're wondering how to ensure that your job description is in alignment with that CDE experience, there is a sample there. There's a business partner checklist, timelines, and supervisor forms as well. So a lot of really great things to consider as you're building. And then at Naperville, and Cherry Creek actually is in Colorado, but they are both great examples of how to build in-house opportunities for students. A note here is that they're also thinking about how they can kind of scale those opportunities into some places that might not have been most typical in these experiences. So, it might seem that education in a school is a very easy or obvious a pathway to explore, which also has, lots of things to figure out. But they're also thinking about how can we involve our transportation department or our IT department, or expanding some of those opportunities for students, as we know that districts are very large employers and there's lots of different roles that students may be exposed to just in their home district. So you'll see on this resource that there is a whole webinar on IWIN where both of these communities were able to share more from their own perspective. So if you're interested in hearing more about how they did that, please check it out. But they've been able to create some opportunities for students to support help desks with their IT, marketing within their district office and community connections team, and then some opportunities with their automotive and transportation department. So again, you can find some sample job descriptions here as well. And my last example for you all is Boone County. I apologize for my scroll. One moment. So again, this is, you're able to click in here and view this anytime, but there is a short video. It's about 10 minutes that showcases Boone County and their internship program. If you're interested in hearing from that community themselves, I definitely recommend hearing how they talk about and have put together their internship program there. But again, I think they're really just the fact that they're willing to share some of these learnings and their resources with folks is really great. And a great place to view all of this is on the IWIN page. So if you're looking for parent and student information sheets, if you're looking for one-pagers and employer flyers regarding that internship description and opportunity, this one is specifically for manufacturing, but this is a great way to kind of get some ideas of how this could come to life as well. If you're interested in seeing something more than just a template, I would recommend looking out for those examples. So just wanting to uplift a couple of just practices that create these high quality experiences. First, you just making sure that there are, again, these multiple points of check-in with whoever it is that is experiencing the internship or whatever it might be, this 60-hour of whatever intense, opportunity. How are they doing in it? How are they connecting to the work that they're doing? How are they making sense of it? And just really giving a space to support that learning and understanding, especially if this is someone's first job experience. It could be a little bit of, could be an overwhelming experience for them, something to consider, and support them in that mentorship role to be able to make sense of it. Second is that industry partner. Again, connecting to what I just said, just making sure that serving both as a mentor and a supervisor, there is definitely a need for understanding, timeliness is an expectation, cleanliness at your station is an expectation, whatever these things might be, but also understanding that mentor piece and how to take time to problem solve with that person, or to understand how they might be thinking of transportation needs, or if it's something where they're not grasping a concept and may need more time on the side. That kind of understanding of where the mentor and supervisor roles can come to play is super important. And then we want to make sure that the tasks that folks are experiencing are actually representative of the industry and what the role would be, combining both those essential and technical skills. So, giving the example of, I think a lot of times people just think interns and going to get coffee or making copies of things. That is not something that we want the CDE experiences to be. We want it to be something where they're actually being able to participate in the day-to-day tasks that are necessary to engage in a really thoughtful and helpful way in that role, and being able to contribute to the organization as well. I'll kind of jump into this. Students are engaged as a valuable asset piece, because I think it ties in, that whoever's coming into that space, they do have knowledge in some way and around a lot of different things. And so really valuing whoever's coming into that space as an asset, rather than, a hindrance or something that is another task that you might have to do. But really looking at it as, what can I learn from them as well? And that could also come from those intentional check-ins as well, to be able to give that person more space to share what they might know as well. And then making sure, pretty basic, but making sure that there are clear points of contact in order to navigate any challenges or needs. Just being sure if there is a situation that needs to be taken care of, that everyone knows who they can contact to get that support. And then last, again, that CDE experience is relevant, and it helps to make a connection to whatever's next for that person. So being sure to think about how it might be informing and shaping what they might be going on to do next. Okay, so I think I do have a poll here.
We're going to get that launched out to you guys. Here is the poll. You go.
Thank you. Yeah, so hopefully, at the start of this, we learned that mostly everyone who filled out this poll was new to the toolkit. I just want to see if you're feeling a little bit more confident, or if you are still in the same spot, which is okay too.
It seems like we're getting a lot of people moving from that 1, it's completely new to me, and we're getting to like that 3 space. So that's exciting.
That's great. Awesome.
Yes. Yes. So we're all at that 3.
Okay.
Good to hear. All right. We're going to end that poll.
Okay. Yes. Some days I'm not an expert on this toolkit either. And so this is also something that is always evolving as well. And I'm really excited to see there was some movement a little bit, and we'll get into questions later, but always reach out if there's anything that I can support with you all through this experience as well. So we'll get to a couple of next steps here. So just 2 more resources that I wanted to share. This first resource you'll see is a design template. So I mentioned that there could be a opportunity to just support your thinking. So this is that template that is really just a kind of conceptualization, a guide for your thinking, a way to frame how you might be wanting to start or design your CDE. So that's a really great tool that's, just a planning document, but a helpful kind of frame for you all. And then this second one here is our quality criteria for continuous improvement and equity. So I did want to highlight this, and I'm going to scroll a moment to this table of contents. This one is interactive, so I am looking at career development experience criteria. I'm going to click that, and it pops me down to the page that I'm looking for. But in these charts here, you can really think about, you'll see the high quality criteria, so what that means, and then our ICANN statements for students. And really, these are meant not as a mandate. These are things that everything should, that these should be in every CDE, but more so, maybe you're a couple years in, if you've been doing this for a while, and you want to think about how can I really improve this for students and or whoever I might be supporting in an equitable with an equitable lens, and also making sure that we are working on continuous improvement in these opportunities. So I'll share in this student preparation and expectations section here. The statement is students have engaged in the essential employability skills prior to the experience and have been made aware of the commitment and what types of tasks and activities they'll be completing. So giving that ahead of time is something that is really powerful and helpful to the students so that they know these are things that I might want to be working on in addition to some of the technical skills that I'm learning. And then the student I can statement would be, I'm familiar with what employability skills mean and what types of tasks and activities I'll be completing. So I just draw that out to share that there are lots of different ways to use these tools and resources. That could be a check-in question. Another thing that I do want to mention, I forgot to a couple of slides ago, but when you're creating these reflection pieces, if you have capacity, doing some kind of pre, mid, and post assessment, or just like little check-in, it doesn't have to be a formal assessment, but taking time at those different points is going to be super helpful for you as someone who might be hosting, and for that participant who's experiencing it to continue to make sense of it. So this is just another way to think about how you're creating those high quality experiences, and how you might want the participant to be engaging on the other end. So some things that you all can do for your next steps. Take a look at the toolkit, familiarize yourself with it, look up some of those templates and consider what are some key components that you're seeing throughout those. And then identify your starting point. So like I said, maybe it's the initial recruiting and host challenge that you might be seeing. Or maybe it's the assessment piece way at the end. You're like, we get them in the spot and we kind of lose track of things and they complete it. Maybe you want to focus more on what that evaluation at the end of the experience is. So being sure to think about where you might want to focus in. And then lastly is just engaging your team. So again, whoever might need to be a part of that planning conversation, or if you're a team of one, that's okay too. But maybe you can bounce it off of someone in another department, but really just thinking about who else might need to join me in this building process of the CDE. And then lastly, I just want to share that we have 2 of those webinars coming up for our iWin sessions. So in May, for tomorrow, you all are invited to our marketing work-based learning programs. So you can register and be able to hear from different practitioners across the field. Everyone involved in that work-based learning ecosystem is invited. And it's really just a great way to understand. This session is particularly around that marketing piece. So really, what is it? What is necessary to elevate that visibility and to add value when thinking about how to talk about work-based learning experiences? And then that next webinar, I said both of these were upcoming, but you'll have some summertime in between our next one. So in September 16th, we'll have just a work-based learning fundamentals session. So this will be just introducing a lot of the frameworks again. We'll talk through the continuum from that career awareness piece all the way up to the career development experiences. But it's a great refresh of what it means to be engaged in that work-based learning opportunity. And you all are happy to join us for both of those. So that is what I had for you all today. My contact information is up, and if you all have any other needs, please reach out, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get into some questions if there are any.
Yeah, at this point, if you guys have any questions to ask Alexia as we are kind of going into the post presentation. I'm not seeing any now, but another thing, those were amazing resources. There's so much out there. And the fact that you can edit them, it was really cool. And so I was curious for the attendees, what are they most excited about using, or what resource really spiked their interest? What did they think was the most fascinating thing from today? So if you in the chat want to put like, what are you excited about? That'd be another great one.
Yeah, I love that question.
I was just like, wow, and there's another one and another one. So that was really cool from my perspective. Seeing anything yet? No one wants to talk about the amazing resources? Amy said, I'm looking forward to watching the recording of this to take in everything shared again. Yes. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Thank you for sharing, Amy. And reminder, that recording will be on the WIOA professional development website. And I can drop that link actually in the chat if you guys don't forget about it. Maybe if I can type. Anything else? Do you have anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I just if you all have any questions and would like to connect with me one-on-one, I'm happy to give you more a personal one-on-one kind of chat. Or if there's something as you're either today you're leaving with, or as you go through these documents and you think this is missing or we could build or expand upon, I'm happy to engage in that conversation to understand what might be helpful for you all. If there's something that you'd like to see in an updated version, maybe, please stay connected and share those ideas.
Thank you so much. And that website link has been dropped in the chat. Outside of that, just be on the lookout for the next 24 to 48 hours. You're going to get an email with a survey about today, content, and all of the exciting stuff. So we would love to hear your feedback. That's the last thing that I think I have for you guys. And if so, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, rest of your week, and enjoy. Thank you, Vicki. All right. Well, thank you so much, Alexia. It was great to meet you. You did a fabulous job. I'm going to have to go and look. There's so much. It looks really cool.
Yeah. If you have any questions for me, let me know.
I appreciate that.
Thank
All
you.
right. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.